Why, hello! I'm Jono, and God, it's been a long time since I've made a public video on the Jono, not BONO Cubase touch controller. And before we start with this nonsense, I would like to say thank you to Clelson Lopes, my long-suffering partner in crime on this thing. I promise it will be over soon. Anyway, a lot's been going on, and a lot of work has happened, and upgrades and rebuilds and new ideas and all kinds of stuff, giving it a new lick of paint. And it's I can't remember what my life was like before at this point, but you know, it's kind of getting into good shape now, I think. But something I flirted with my iPhone a while ago was showing the keyboard. So I thought it might be quite fun just to actually show the state of the current keyboard, because it's got some functionality in it now other than just a keyboard. And yeah, it's not designed to replace the actual physical keyboard, of course, but you know, anything to give different options for inputting data, playing notes, playing beats, whatever, is good for me. So let's have a little look in the JnB controller. Here we are. Right, so currently it's in its minimized state, which I have lovingly nicknamed the Cubasement, because it's at the bottom of our house and it's where we store all of our useful shit. And down here is full of favorites and quick, like I don't want to reach up all the time for stuff, you know, I just want it to be like a secondary QWERTY keyboard. So that was the design choice of this down here. But if I press the and breathe button, and I'm going to try and remember to use the mouse as much as possible so you can actually see what I'm talking about as I click on it rather than tap on it. If I click on the breathe button, basically the controller opens up. And if there's a bit of lag when you see that, it's because this is being live streamed from a touch PC using OBS onto my DAW machine using OBS, and there's a free plugin called NDI. So it's actually capturing the screen without any hardware, which is amazing, and it's free. So sometimes there's like a little half-a-second lag though, but yeah, I just thought I'd explain that in case things get weird. But basically we have this white control panel, and that's what I've nicknamed it, the control panel. And this shows and hides various different elements inside the controller. So if we go along here, we'll see the word keys, and always brings a smile to my face when I press this. Here we go. Oh, oh, we've got a black oak piano lid. Let's have another look at that, shall we? That, oh, it's just so excessive, isn't it? The gluttony is just unreal. I actually made a joke to Clelson ages ago. I was just taking the piss, and I said, do you know, I think the keyboard needs to have a piano lid, Clelson. So lo and behold, after a day of pissing about, he said, what, like this? It's black oak. It's like, yes, exactly like that. So basically that always keeps me chuckling away like a little child. But this is the upper main keyboard, and we actually have two keyboards in the controller. The lower keyboard, if you can see down here, I'm probably in the way, so let me just get rid of the camera for a minute. And here we have the word keys, and if I open that, lo and behold, the lid. Yes, excellent. Right, I don't want to talk about the lower keyboard yet, but we will. So let's just get rid of it for a minute. Okay, so I don't really know what to talk about first. I guess one of the uses that people use touchscreen keyboards for is for key switching. And, you know, if you don't, then you don't. But some people do, and that's why we thought it was quite important to add ranges. So let's have a little chat about ranges in the keyboard first. Basically, you can see down here we have the C's numbered. And, you know, C2, C3, C4, C5. Up in the top hand corner, top left corner and the top right hand corner, we've got manual range tools. And the grey box, if you tap on that, you can choose the first actual key, not musical key, as in the key. and you know, A to G. But you know, I'll just do it. So we're on C2, let's hit D, and now we've changed to D, but I'm going to keep this on C just for now. And let's set this up so we want to see key switches down in the bass register, so C-2 to C0. So what we would do is we would click on this and then go C-2. You see it's changed C-2, and then we go over to the top right and then change that to 0. And there we have it, key switch range. So let's say that we were playing some bass instruments and we wanted to use the upper echelon of the keyboard for key switches. Let's just say, for example, because there are, you know, exceptions to the rule, but C5 to C7 is kind of usual, C6 to C8, but let's do C7 top range and then C5. And there we have it. So you can easily choose whatever you want, you know, like however you want. And something that, I don't think I've said this publicly, maybe I have, I can't remember, and maybe not in a video, but we have an automatic saving system. So if you close this down, let's say that you use this for one library in your whole life, and that is just set up permanently, and it's C5 to C7. When you close this down and restart it, it will always remember that, which is, you know, we've got an automatic saving system because we're grown-ups. It's called AS, and basically it saves everything: fader positions, MIDI channels, colors, switch positions, panel positions, all that kind of stuff. So if you put this button here on the send, that would remember that. Anyway, I've just demonstrated how to manually, you know, make the low and high key switch ranges work. But it's a bit of a pain in the ass, isn't it? So this is exactly why we have in the top center a range box. And let's just go into this first. Down here we have low key switch and high key switch, so you can sure you can guess what's going to happen. If I press low key switch, it instantly goes to C-2 to C0. And if I go into here, that's high key switch, C5 to C7. And because with touch screens we don't want to really move our hands an extra inch or menu dive when we don't have to, I thought it would be a nice little treat to actually put low key switch and high key switch next to these range tools, so you can just press that without going into the menu if you choose to use it for that. So let's go back in there for a minute. We also, at the bottom, we have what I've nicknamed playable ranges, and we have C0 to C5 and C0 to C6, and these are to avoid any key switches top and bottom, which to be fair, in the harp this is way more useful, but we thought, you know, for percussion libraries and stuff, if there is any funky stuff going on in either octave, then this is just instantly going to cut any key switches out for playing, and then C0 to C6. Okay, so the other ranges are just literally the ranges of each keyboard range. So we have 25 keys, 37 keys, 49 keys, 61, and you can see that it's always, well, they're just the correct ranges. 76, and we're in the land of the ridiculous here, unless you've got tiny little elven fingers. Sausage fingers probably going to struggle with this range, but we thought, why not, you know, let's not mess around with half measures with this thing. So now I've shown you the key switch range. Oh, actually, we've got some other range tools. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Okay, so if we go to the top left, where the manual range is, we have a plus and minus. And if you notice here, it says C3 and the top is C5. If I press the plus, right, you can actually see that, oh wait, it doesn't exceed the top, sorry. Let me change this to C8, okay. If I press that to be minus, okay, that's gone to C2. If I press that, that goes to C1. Press it again, it goes to C0. If I press the plus, then it will go up the other way. And the same with the top right ones. If I press the minus, this will go from C8 down to C7. I guess you could call this the root octave, like as far as it's not moving anywhere, not root as in musically, but you know, it's like the anchored C3. We're going to press this one here again, and you know, it's just a way of expanding an octave at a time or taking away an octave. Now, the other ones that we have are next to this middle box, and if I press the plus, what this does is it moves the entire keyboard up an octave or down an octave instead of adding one or subtracting one. So if I press the plus, see that says C3 to C6, I'm going to press the minus, and that says C2 to C5. So, you know, it's just to have options and stuff like that. But let's actually have a little mess around, shall we? So in Cubase, basically, I've got a few tracks here just to mess about with. Okay, so this is Damage 2, percussion library. Okay, so let's have a little play. Okay, so on C2, just under C5, these keys are really small. So this was another thing that I really wanted to sort out. I didn't want to lose the notes. So basically we have a nice, wonderful, splendiferous button up here called full width. And now the keyboard can go full width, which makes the keys just so much better. Keys are velocity sensitive. Change it to another library, Junkie Excel, mic mixes all in one, Hans Zimmer Percussion Pro. Different way of playing this because it's not like the velocity is from top to bottom, so you know. I think you get the hit. Both at the same time. It's stupid. No, let's not do that. Okay, let's have a little play around. I mean, you could use it for anything. Let's change the... Actually, hold on. Look, I've got a string patch here. I'm very much doubt I could play anything on this like this. But... So I'm going to move the range down. Awful. I'm sure if you practiced enough you could. I'd have to, so leaning over, I have to pull the touchscreen down, I think, and then actually practice a bit. Maybe it'd be better down here, I don't know. I don't script these videos, you know, it's like, some people do that kind of stuff. At the moment, we don't have full width on the lower keyboard, but we absolutely are going to have full width. It just makes it so much better. Yeah, I don't know, but let's forget that for a minute. So we've got some other functions here, and you know, obviously you can play whatever. You're going to want to use a mod and stuff. If you wanted to use the mod on the touch screen, then you would have to come out full width and then use that. But then, you know, you'd have to set it up how you want it. I use physical faders for mod and stuff when I'm playing music in and stuff like that. There's just no competition in my opinion, but having them there for controls and stuff is essential, just for speed and all that kind of stuff. So basically, another function that we actually have in this are different MIDI channels, and that's one reason why I've just brought up the second keyboard. Basically, if I open up this patch, right, you don't need to see it. Okay, so I've got two different instruments inside Contact, and I have the first one on MIDI channel 1 and the second one on MIDI channel 2. In fact, you can see it, why not? There we have it, right? And this is really important in order, I've got to say this properly. Let's actually go back into Cubase. The reason why we have different MIDI channels on the keyboards is for separate control of different patches, right? Because I thought it might actually be quite an interesting thing for sound design especially, and external hardware and stuff, you know, if you want to tinker about. In order for this to work, you have to actually switch on any on the MIDI input, the channel, I should say. And if you don't do that, and it's one of these things that you forget, it just won't work, and it will only work on MIDI channel, whatever the MIDI channel number is. So we've got this piano and a Clelson on 1, and then we've got a synthy effect on 2. So let's go back into the controller, and this is the top one I'm playing. Let's make the keys bigger. Okay, so now I'm going to press the bottom one. Oh, I should show you it first, shouldn't I, really? If you press here where it says channel 1, you can choose up to 16 MIDI channels on the top keyboard. And if you click here, you can choose any channel you want. So, you know, if you had 16 patches in a multi, I mean, I don't know why you would do this, but, you know, you could choose 16 and 2. But, you know, we thought it would be just for flexibility to have all the MIDI channels there. So that's going to be on channel 2. And now I'm going to hit a key. I don't want to get too sucked into this. Could be a cool sound design thing, you know, to be able to control both at the same time. So what have we got here? Okay, another little mixture just to demonstrate. I better check the channels. Okay, so we've got two instruments again. We've got one on the bottom and one on the top. going to make these keys a bit... Oh, it's midnight. Just hours and hours of noodling with all this kind of stuff, right? So yeah, I mean, that's up to your own imagination of how far you take all that kind of stuff. Maybe we have different playable ranges. Clelson. Like I said, there's other things that are on the shit list that basically may or may not happen this century. Depends. It's incredible how much work all of this takes. So one other thing, and then there's a couple of other functions that I'm really excited about with this. But, you know, obviously for synths, I mean, it just works. What about pitch bend though, which this is a bonus of this video that I just thought of. I mean, this is not part of the keyboard. However, I figured I might as well tease this out. Okay, so we have, let's say that we have pitch bend, right? I'm just going to press that C. We have a pitch bender here. Got to use the mouse, okay? Basically, that's freeform. So I'll use my finger on this, right? Freeform, so it doesn't snap or spring back, right? If I have spring, it springs. We have these delicious little lights at the top. And that will obviously pitch bend in freeform. So let's keep the spring on. I'm going to hit my finger on C. Okay, that's cool. I like for flexibility, and you know, maybe you just want everything to be a bit twisted and all that kind of stuff. But what if you wanted it to actually snap to semitones so it's perfectly in pitch? Well, we can do that. So let's put steps on. And now when I move my finger, you see how it snaps to a semitone, right? We have range here, so we can go up to 2 octaves. I've got this set to 5 at the minute because I was just messing around with Yuhi Zebra, I should say. And basically, you have to manually set the ranges of pitch bend on each patch, which is kind of annoying unless I've overlooked something. I'd love to globally be able to do that, but such is life. And I was just playing around with 5. But you must set the pitch range in the instrument, otherwise this will just do that, you know. Anyway, let me demonstrate that again with out step, right? Very messy, Jono. So now I'm going to put step on. Perfectly in pitch. If I played it in time. You're probably thinking, why don't you just play that? Whatever. I'm just demonstrating that that is a kind of a feature in this. So Okay, we've got a couple of other options in here, and this really excited me, and I've totally stolen this from Cubase, and I don't think Steinberg are going to mind, because this is the Cubase touch controller that I've been making. So transposition and add to selected. Now basically, if I use the mouse, where is the mouse? Okay, if I press this button here that says transpose, the keyboard instantaneously changes to a transposition keyboard. And if I unpress that and then press add to selected, obviously it's colored purple for prints, but that is add to selected. So I'm going to demonstrate this actually working. I should explain, actually, I mean, it's self-explanatory really if you think about if you ever use this kind of stuff in Cubase. Quickly, I was going to close this, but quickly down here it's the same transposition. This is really handy in the lower keyboard because you don't have to move your hands that much. This, we just thought we'd put it in both anyway, and obviously add to selected. So I'm going to close that to avoid any confusion. Basically, the C is, sometimes I do get confused by this, you should never think of the C as a C note. You should think of the C as the selection. So I'm going to get Cubase up in a second, and we will use a C just for the, you know, the simplicity of it. But if you select a note, let's say that you select, it doesn't matter, any note or any chord, and then you actually press that G, that's not moving it to a G. It's moving it a fifth. It will move anything a fifth. So, you know, if you are in the key of C, obviously a fifth is G, so it would move it to G. If you then wanted to move that G down a fifth, you don't press the C. You would actually, you have to remember now that G is that C. It's the anchor, the selected note. So you would then press F below. So that's how, it takes a little while to just remember that, but once you do, it's really easy. So let's put the touch screen up here, and okay, let's just draw a C. Also, hold on, I'm just going to actually show and hide. Shall we? Let's hide all the CC lanes just to make this a little bit easier. Okay, so notice the keys, it's remembered transpositions on and stuff, which is another convenience thing rather than having to press one button, I guess. But let's full screen it just to actually not clutter it. So we've got a C here. If I zoom into that just to make it bigger. Okay, so if I select that note now, and on the touch screen, if I press that G above the selected, the root or whatever, you can't call it, I guess you could call it the root, but you know, it gets confusing. If I press the G now, it's instantly moved that to G. So if I undo that, if I press the F, which would take it a fifth below in C, that would actually move it to F. Obviously, I'm using a Macro 5.1 and it's slow as hell, and it auto-saved exactly when I was demonstrating that. So yeah, it usually does that all the time. Okay, so another thing, transpose an octave below, press C down there, press it again, job done. Press the C at the top, that will go an octave above. So it's just a really quick and easy thing. Like I said, it's much easier down here rather than having the big screen, and you know, you can just press this. So now the last function I'm going to show today is add to selected. So if we press the add to selected button, it goes purple. I'm just doing the top one now. And let's say that we want a typical thing that most people do is add an octave below, right? So let's do that. Let's add an octave below. I'm going to press that C below, and there we have it. And let's add an octave above. And I've created all of the MIDI commands to actually do all the octaves up to an octave each, and then you can just duplicate that. So let's just add a tritone to that. There we go. There's F sharp. And then if you want to add a third to that, major third. So it could be kind of convenient, this, you know, it's all built in and stuff like that. There's all sorts of other stuff I could talk about, but I don't think I should. Oh, there is one last feature completely for gluttony, and that is the close lid button that you will never need to use. But you know, as it's the end of the video, I think we should close the keyboard. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that, and I'm going to be making quite a few more videos soon. Like I said, there's all sorts of stuff that we've actually improved upon and created, and new funky stuff going on under the hood. I'm not going to even tell you what else is going to happen to the keyboard, because surprises are good. And also I don't know if we can pull it off, but that is the current state of the keyboard. And yeah, till next time, I guess.